make myself look like 5 months pregnant.
I always look 5 months pregnant, so.
The whole video
is that bald? You grow hair.
Put your finger in it.
Shave like.
And just like while you're talking.
You shave your belly?
Yeah.
Really?
Cause they get like freaking long.
I don't grow hair anywhere. I don't grow hair anywhere but my body.
I wake up and like I'll have like belly curl twisty things.
All the ones that like, oh
yeah, like I'm just hairy underneath here. So.
I get that on my butt crack when I'm asleep.
Are we on? I think we got a topic, man.
Call them Bodega.
I don't grow any hair on my body, but I do get like those witch hairs. Like every once in a while, I'll be like, "Oh crap, is that thing attached?" It's like 6 inches long. What the hell?
I get these random long hairs on my back, and Jess is like, "You need to shave your back." I'm like, "What?" And then she like, they're like this long. They're just randomly placed.
I'm waiting for all that stuff to start connecting really well. Because it stayed sporadic. It stayed sporadic for me for a little bit. Now it's like I got a picture behind my back. It's like,
yes, mine's not gonna attach. Yes, it doesn't attach on 30. It's not gonna attach anywhere.
I don't know. Ask David. Did anything change?
Oh, that's a good one. No, that's a good one. It's been the same for the last 20 years.
Are you thinking I've only been
You still want to die when you're 30, Brian?
For sure. No, I was just saying, like 20 years, I probably wouldn't have seen somebody about it.
There's so many advances in science and technology by the time 20 years comes along. Cures for everything.
He was watching shows about having virtual reality.
Penicillin was big, wasn't it?
That was huge.
I came
Big,
out of
isn't it? Yeah, life changer, literally.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Nothing.
It's a lot of jokes about how old I am in this
Like
group.
when I zoned out like 5 minutes ago. I'm like, you actually you're
Nothing
nothing
about.
Age is just
Listen, guys.
let's get all cliche.
You should have, we wouldn't have known. If you said like 32. I
Well,
would've bought
32, man, that's a baby face.
I mean, if you would have told me 45, I would have been like, yeah,
Shit.
that makes sense.
He could have said 49.
After your kid gets
Like, I don't
your son hits like 5,
Oh yeah.
daughter hits 9, and you're like,
from
little
like
kid looks at your daughter, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
from like mid 20s to 40, it can go like either any way. Like Alex could have told me he was 30 and I would have bought it. I don't know. You know what I mean?
But everyone outside of that knows me, I go, how do you think I'll 30, 35?
That's 35.
You gotta show your face, show your 6 double chins, and then you'll.
My big baby face.
It's those baby blue eyes, dude. If you just shaved whatever, look like a pirate.
If I shaved, I'd look 20.
I shave, I look like a dick.
Yeah, you could have told me you were younger than me. I would have bought it this one. I would have been like mentoring you. Like, hey man, I know you want to push hard, but
How can I get this?
you got time. You got
Longevity
time.
in the
I just want to be a giant human being like you.
Like, I've done my share for mistakes. I know.
We've been on since you were pulling back hairs out.
Oh man.
That's how we got on this topic. We just
That's going on.
Was my
YouTube.
belly on the?
Did we get that?
Did you
Did
get
you
my
get the mic
belly?
shot?
Oh yeah, dude, it's going
Oh,
on.
no.
You don't even know. You've been
You're
doing that the whole
texting on
time.
Instagram.
You have 16 minutes.
Okay.
16 minutes.
You've been talking for 4 minutes about being dads and shaving your backs and I don't know what else.
I think that's the manliest talk you could have.
Yeah.
What's
Is
our
that my
discussion
daughter's?
on today, Alex?
I'll wear it.
We were
Like my
talking
little shirt
about-
thing.
I might just get up in the middle of a video.
Right, come on.
I stand. Don't forget
That's
it. We all
not
know
topic
this.
because we'll get yelled at by Morgan and it'll take another 3 weeks to edit a video. So,
What's our topic?
we're going to talk about protective equipment. PP. What's the first P? in
Personal
PP?
protective equipment.
Personal protective equipment
Oh, like lifting gear?
and lifting. So yes, AKA lifting gear, belts, wrist straps, knee sleeves, elbow sleeves,
Beanies.
shoes.
Beanies. Always.
I don't know how they protect you.
Check my head.
Protecting losing your hair.
And then also talk about the importance of like spotters and how it is important to have a spotter when you're lifting. I think it's common sense, but a lot of people out there think it's okay not to have a spotter because it makes them feel more manly or more in charge. But the reason why I have everyone lift off a plate for me is because I'd rather take away all aspects of risk. I'm over exaggerating the plate, and that's why I only want one person to ever spot me on bench. Because I know I won't die. Other people, I hesitate. I have some doubts. I'm like, no, only Brian.
We're gonna.
All right, but let's be a little serious.
It's just because you barely reach the clips. It makes me nervous. With your range of motion, like, okay, now take it.
Well, if it was just me, I'd be training probably at five holes now, not 4. But I don't really make fun of Fredo. All right, so who here all has injuries?
Yeah, sure.
And if you guys can't see, that's Morgan waving his hand too. But and so who here has seen the benefits of safety equipment helping those areas?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, massively.
All of us. And then another thing to point out is even if they're not hurting, if you know you're prone to injury, you still wear them. So if you have screwed up elbows and you know that for the majority of the time you always have screwed up elbows, if your elbows are feeling good, it's probably safer to still wear elbow sleeves to keep them from feeling bad or worse. And I'm sure that we all use that. I know Heath has issues with his left knee. He always says left knee. Even though like him wearing knee sleeves isn't avoiding an issue, he wears them because it keeps him warm and healthy, and it makes it so he's not in more pain than what he has to. I do that for my elbows. I know Brian does that for his elbows. It's even though we may not feel horrible, we still throw them on for our squats and our bench because we want our elbows to feel good. If our elbows hurt, you can't squat or bench, or even a deadlift, for that matter. So
Wrist straps.
same thing with wrist straps. Like yes, I think and we can all agree on there is a fine line of like wearing wrist straps when you're doing bicep curls or accessory work. But if you have effed up wrists, then it's okay to have wrist wraps before you hit 80% of your max.
Yeah, something that Mike and I have been doing when we go do the bro sesh on day 3, we'll hit the really heavy close grip, and then when we're doing tricep extensions, we'll throw on our wrist straps. It's not as tight, but a little bit just to keep the stability because like they're already shot from the close grip. So it's just about using your brain. You don't want to use them all the time, but you want to use them to be safe. So if you know it's going to hurt, then go ahead and throw it on. You're not being a wuss by doing that. So
You're just preventing less money spent on ibuprofen and Tylenol because you feel like a piece of crap. You know?
Or missed workouts too, which to me is far more damaging than ibuprofen.
Yeah.
Like if you have to go a week or 2 to rehab, I mean, there's nothing more damaging psychologically. I mean, especially when you have goals and the programming's all set.
So that's pretty much wrist wrap. Like a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm raw," but if you're raw, you're gonna be broken a lot sooner than the people who are wearing wrist straps. I don't know about you guys, but I want to be in the sport for as long as I possibly can, and you have to treat your body well.
that's a big misconception. Like gym bros. I mean, you know, like gym bros are all like, "Oh, you never wear a belt. No, I'll never wear wrist straps. Never wear knee sleeves because it's about like, oh, that makes you weak." But I mean, they're only there to help you, and it's anti-aging. I mean, you'll be in there just like Alex said. You'll be in the sport a lot longer if you just decide to wear them.
And it's like wrist straps for me help me bench more, and so it just I know I have a weak wrist, but even throwing on wrist straps, I know I'll be able to get more out of my bench press. Due to my weak wrist, if I wouldn't wear them, I would probably be 100 pounds less, and I know that. And in the sport, I know my muscles are strong enough to lift 500 pounds, but I know that if I don't wear safety equipment for my injured areas, the joints, it's gonna. I know I won't be able to lift as much, and that goes with. I know a lot of the controversy is wearing the belts make you weaker, but in fact they make you stronger because you're able to lift more, so you're stimulating your muscles that much more than how you would do it without. And a belt, like I know a lot of people want to train the beltless, and that's fine, but that won't make you even stronger because it's actually, you're not going to be lifting close to, there's no way. I maxed out on my belt around 500 pounds where I need it, and if I go more, I'm like thrashed, and I can't, like there's no way I'm going to squat 700 pounds without a belt, none. When I hit 5, I'm like, oh, this is, I need a belt now.
Well, wearing a belt actually taught me how to brace my abs.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, well, I know, but like it taught me how. So when I'm not wearing a belt, I can brace better.
A belt it's just a resource. It's a tool, just like wrist straps. But like if you're dependent on a belt to do the lift correctly, that's a problem. Like you should be able to go through the motion of the lift perfectly fine. If you're depending on the belt to brace harder and get more, that's what it's for. So there's a difference there between like, oh, I can't squat unless I have a belt, versus to hit my maximum weights to perform at my very best. That's another tool I use, just like everything else we use. The programming, equipment, diet, nutrition, all of it are tools we use to get as strong as possible.
You gotta have
the squat belt.
The right belt too. I mean, you gotta have the right tools for the job. I used to wear the belts at the gym, and they're crappy for one. They're little and they stretch. Like when I brace against them, I'd feel them pull, and that's why I got an Inzer. Inzers are great.
Yeah, when we went on our little bro session, you had me bench with your belt. I have like a weak back in my lower back, so it's hard to do that. You guys can arch good on the support. Like once I put that belt on, it was just like I could arch and brace and think about my feet, and it took away one hard area for me so I could focus on the rest.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It changes everything.
And even from a technical standpoint, in powerlifting, the goal in powerlifting is we're trying to lift the most amount of weight we possibly can, and everything that the sport says that we're allowed to do, we're going to do. So if you're trying to squat the most you possibly can squat, you're not going to pass up any tool that you're allowed to use to do that. It's not, I'm trying to lift the most weight, but with these restrictions. No, you're not going to impose any other restrictions upon yourself besides what the federation already imposes on you.
Yeah.
So if somebody's like, oh, I want to squat this, but I want to do a belt lift, it's like, okay, well, that's not your max potential then, because you're not incorporating everything you possibly can, which is fine. But from a powerlifting point of view, it's like asinine to pass up something that's going to help you lift more frequently, safer, and lift more. Plus the technical aspect of squatting with a belt, deadlifting with a belt, you have to get used to that. And if you're going to use that on the platform, you need to know what it feels like, and you need to be comfortable with that equipment too. You don't just wait until, okay, now I'm going to throw it on and hope like it feels good. You need to use it in training too, just like you would try out a new program, just like you would try out a new bench technique, widening, closing your hands. You don't just decide all that meet day.
Like even if you wanted to train the beltless, it's, and just like we've already discussed, is when you train the belt, you lift more, and when you lift more, you you tax your central nervous system even more. So even if you wanted to do off-season work without a belt, then automatically that's going to prevent you from lifting the maximal loads. So your CNS won't be taxed as much. And so like I can see the benefits of that, of like you're actually putting a barrier that prevents you from taxing yourself. And I guess you can use that with like
For a recovery standpoint.
wrist wraps, things like that, just so you can recover. I think off season is a whole nother topic in itself, but
I think there's a caveat though. Caveat, whatever. I mean, you don't want to use it 100% of the time. I mean, you don't want to be throwing on a belt to squat 20%. You know, like you don't want to warm up all the way up. Like I like to warm up probably up to about 50-60% without a belt, and then I'll throw on my belt and start doing that. I mean, you want to get everything going. Same thing with wrist wraps. You don't want to train yourself to expect the brace that you get. I mean, you want to throw it on like after 60-70%.
There's a medium, that's for sure. It's a big medium though.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest, hands down, if you have wrist problems, wear freaking wrist straps on your all your barbell lifts. That's your barbell lifts is only really like 25% of the whole program, and then you have 75% without them.
Yeah.
And so like if you have back problems, then wear a belt and then work your weaknesses for accessory work afterwards. It's like you don't have to, like you don't want to make the problem worse, but you don't want to baby it to the point where it gets worse. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That makes any sense, but.
And yeah, establishing like the difference between something being weak and something being injured, because like if like you have a weak lower back, and so like you can't, you get to a weight and you just can't squat it unless you're wearing a belt because your lower back's weak. That's a weakness. So yeah, that's something that you can fix by training it. If you have an injured back, training an injury doesn't make it better, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
So that's where you need to draw that line of, okay, my back's injured, and that's why I can't squat without a belt, versus my back's just weak, and that's why I can't squat without a belt. Because those two will decide, because at that point maybe squatting isn't what you should be doing anyway if your back's injured.
And I feel like it also that just depends on where you're at in the program. If you're in a peak phase and your body's thrashed, you're supposed to feel freaking thrashed. And so I know there's gonna be times when I will get injured, but I will wear as much as I can, make sure everything's locked in, so on meet day I can perform. And then after meet day, then it'll be like, okay, how am I gonna fix this and make this better? And I think that's just depends on how much sacrifice you want to take. Just like Brian, you're having issues with your elbows, you're not stopping the training. You may do like more of AD load to let them recover, but you're working around the problem because you know your goal is to hit as big as the total you can, but you're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to take an off season, because if you start taking an off season every time you're hurt, then you'll never be on it.
Yeah.
But that's
I'm doing what I can do. I'm not doing what I can't do, and I'm not doing nothing. I'm doing what I can do. That's.
I feel like we can get in tangent on this, and then let's talk about the importance of having a spotter for all your lifts. I don't really think a deadlift needs a spotter. Maybe if you, like I see why in meets how they have a spotter behind the lifter just in case they pass out, so they can catch them, or if they lose their balance and fall back. I get that, but
It's pretty unique though to deadlifting.
for the majority of the issues you see, a bench press needing a spotter, and then squatting having side spots or one behind. I don't know. Let's talk about that.
I think think of a spotter just like a seatbelt in a car. Like whether you wreck at 20 miles an hour, or you might hit something at 20 miles an hour and break your back, you might hit something. You wear a seatbelt every time because there's always a risk. It might be really small, it might be really big. There's still a small risk, something crazy could happen. Same with a spotter. You might never ever unrack a bench and feel something pop, or it might pop when you're warming up and you didn't have anybody around. But why take an unnecessary risk? If you have training partners, which you should always try to train with somebody. If you have somebody there, why take the risk? There's not really a reason.
It's important to have a spotter, yeah, but it's also like it's important to have a spotter that you trust.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I like working out with people that I trust and people that have the same mindset as me, because asking randos at the gym to spot you, they're never going to do it right. And somebody that spots you every time and tries to get it right will eventually get it right and won't touch the bar when you don't want them to, will protect you when you need it. They'll learn your ins and outs. They know when you need it to be grabbed if you don't tell them. It's important to have somebody that you trust, because then like you're not worrying about that while you're doing the lift and you're 100% on the lift. And then you can be like, okay, like if I can't do it, I know they got me. Whereas if you ask some rando at the gym, you don't know if he's got you, and so you're kind of split between that. You're not really going 100%.
And I could say, like, when you're really pushing yourself past, for me, it's 85% the way I've been training. I haven't had a spotter since I got into this. And so I started coming here. And I would have my wife in there, and so if there was something that I was having programmed for me, and I'd look at it, and the second I felt uncomfortable about it, it'd psych me out.
Yep.
So then immediately, on that third rep, and you're in it for 5, you're already like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. So what is I gonna do? I'm gonna psych myself out mid-rep, and the fourth one's gonna be a grinder, and I'm gonna have to rack it. So then I'm gonna walk away from a grinder on the 4th rep and a missed rep, and so I'm gonna beat myself up about it. And that's how it's been for the last few years. And when you have somebody there, it makes a huge difference. Like a handful of times I've been with guys, and I mean, just psychologically, I don't have anything to worry about. Like that bar is gonna get pulled off, a worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So I could get that 5th rep or that extra 10 pounds, whatever it is I want to get. It makes a huge difference.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I feel safe with Brian behind me. He can curl my squats.
Yeah, it's like I trained years on my own, and you can get far, and I did get far, but every time I'm squatting by myself, there is a risk that I could die. Hands down. Anything can happen, especially when I'm unracking over 600 pounds. It doesn't feel good when I'm walking it out. What happens if I walked it out, my knee gives out, boom, pops, crash, dead. Or you're paralyzed, alive and stuck in a shell, not being able to do anything. And so me having a spotter, I know I can push myself to the absolute limits and know that I won't die because I have someone there to make sure I don't die.
And you feel more comfortable making jumps too. Like, well, yeah, I did 400. Well, I feel okay doing like 415, 420, you know, because I got somebody behind me.
It's another resource.
It removes the doubt, and then your mindset will be in a real better place, because you won't ever be going, man, I'm training by myself, I'm not sure if I can hit this, I don't know. Now that you know you have the training partners there, then you'll know, oh, that's the last thing I need to worry about. I need to focus more on making sure I'm moving correctly. I'm thinking about the specific cues that work for me instead of worrying about, oh, I'm gonna die, or man, I'm gonna hurt. So it helps. There's no way I'd be able to squat as much as I do without knowing that you guys are there. There'd be no way, and there's no way I'm gonna be able to rack the bar, especially with how the rack's made and me having the grab so wide. There'd be no way I'd be doing that by myself. No. And I physically cannot wear safety. I can't have safety pins because I'm so far out. I hit. So there's just no way. It's the same thing with bench press. I know I have really bad issues with my shoulders, my pecs, and so I physically cannot bring it over my chest myself and just because I know it's going to be ripping as I'm doing it. So having a spotter to make sure that it's like I'm not getting injured or re-injuring something or making something worse, then like there'd be no way I'm unracking 495 for my bench press by myself. It was hard to win. It was hard having a spotter that's able to. So I don't know. It may, yeah, people go, oh, that's just you being spoiled, but no, that's me. It's choosing when we get back to the longevity of the sport. I'd rather last a couple more years on my bench than maybe a night or a week or months. I'd rather last years, as long as I can go.
It's a marathon.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of variables about our whole makeup that we don't understand. I mean, rest, nutrition, fatigue, like the psychological issues that we probably don't even realize exist. And then all of a sudden you come in and 405 for you might feel like it's 495. You know.
Yeah.
The 220. There's days where like 225 for me isn't like a heavyweight, but there's days I warm up with it. I'm like, holy cow, this feels like my working weight. Like
I feel like that during deload week, dude.
Yeah.
Doing squats, just like, why does this feel so stupid heavy?
Sure. And then, so there's, when you have people around you, even on moments like that, even at those times, even with a lighter weight, it definitely makes you grateful. Because you never know, man. I've dumped weight in teeny little studio apartments I lived in and crushed plenty of walls. You know, just because I had nobody there. I couldn't use collars because I didn't have a spotter. So my exit was to just dump the weight. I mean, I had to do that for quite a while, and I had dents all over and holes, and that was pretty much how I did it. And you can hurt yourself doing that, right? I mean, if you dump a bench like this, it's gonna flop you around.
Oh yeah.
I dumped 485 on my head on box squats.
Oh,
And that was terrible. I was like, I just remember like, boom, what the hell?
Alex has a video on Facebook of him dropping 450 on himself.
jeez.
On bench press.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's when I was smart and I trained on my own and I had good thing I had safety.
Yeah, equipment.
Pins
Oh
Yeah.
to set up. Like if you have spotters, you don't really need that. It is still safe to put those on. But if you're, it's like, and the thing is, the week before that I didn't even have them, and then I had a old friend who was like, hey, you should, they'll probably have safety pins, and it was only 80% of my max, and it was still, like, I missed the rack, I missed re-racking it, and it went boom and fell, because the rack shifted backwards on that side. So like we said, freak accidents happen, so like, if you have things to make it as safe as you can, do it. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of it. I don't know. I feel like this whole topic is so self-explanatory, but there's people that try to be stupid, and say it's not real strength if you can't do it completely 100% by yourself. If you still, it is still me benching 495. It just, I'm doing it so I can bench 495 again.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this, but like doing the high, when we're doing like volume with deadlifts, like we're doing it with straps so we can save our bicep tendon. And when I'm pulling my max, I got people going, oh, straps don't count. Well, you can suck it because I still pulled it. It's more than you can pull.
It's your muscle moving. It is your body moving the weight.
It's just people being uninformed.
I mean, straps, we could talk about straps. That's not really like safety equipment.
Can
The
be.
way we're using
Yeah.
it. I mean, the way we're using it, yeah, to save our bicep tendon, yes, but I mean, it's
Even in accessory work, if you know you just got done deadlifting and maybe you tore a callus, maybe your hands are just ripped up, throw straps on for your lat pull downs. Why not? You're training your back. You're not training your hands to do lat pull downs.
I think it's 100% okay to use straps.
Keeps your hands safer. Keeps your
Grip isn't your weak point.
Yeah.
If you have a grip issue, then that's something you need to address separately.
Yeah.
Like if you're using straps to cover up a grip weakness, that's that differencing between an injury and a weakness.
Yeah.
And it's, I feel like straps can even be compared as a belt. Like, a lot of people won't pull as much because their grip can't handle it, but their body can physically handle it. And so it's like, it's just the same thing with a belt. Some people go, oh, I'm not wearing a belt, and then they just, you physically, you like how Brian said, you're not actually getting maximal effort. You're not maximizing what your muscles and your body can actually do, because you're saying, oh, I can't wear a belt, or oh, I know I can pull 20, 30 more pounds more than this, but I'm not going to because my grip sucks. Then the progress will be limited by your grip always. So if you always have weak grip, then it's always going to limit your level. If you don't have
Big boys on
a weak grip, a lot of people don't, then it's more of, okay, let's protect our body.
Yeah.
It's like, you guys aren't competing until July. It's like when you get closer and closer to it, then yes, you want to make sure you're as specific to platform ready as you can. But until then, you're just trying to get strong. It's like, well, why, and stay healthy, not get injured. So why wouldn't you use anything you can to stay healthy and to get strong and still progress in the sport? But like I said, this is something we can always go back and forth and talk and ramble and get off rants, but it's just common sense. If you want to last longer in this sport, then protect yourself. And it's the same as like doing rehab stuff. Like the majority of us here get a massage therapy and get chiropractic adjustments. We do that because it's going to maximize our training and we're going to stay healthy. We're going to stay healthy longer. It's like, if it's there, use it. Oh, I don't want to spend money. Deal with it.
I think this also goes back to mindset too, because you have to realize some people's perspective of lifting and maximal effort is more for views and Instagram notoriety, if you will. So if they see Dan Green in the animal cage pull 900 beltless, and I'm a 15-year-old that has an older brother that lives for varsity football, and that's all I know. Like, that's the first impression I get of powerlifting. I'm gonna follow everything about beltless. I'm gonna look for that whatever hashtag it was, and then all of a sudden my whole world and my whole paradigm I look at is gonna be beltless lifting. And then all of a sudden, that's how I'm gonna compare my reality of lifting. It has nothing to do with longevity, because I'm 14, 15 years old. I don't care. I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, you pulled that, it was a beltless. And like all of a sudden, you know, it's a different mindset. Like, we are more like, I want to be doing this for 10, 15, 20 years. Even me, that's...
You're going to be like 90 years old.
I'm telling you guys at my age, yeah, I'll be hitting 100. I'm doing deload every week.
There's a lot of toxic gym bro mentalities out there.
Absolutely.
And it took me a long time to get out of that when I started powerlifting. I had a lot of toxic ideas, and Alex and Brian helped me get out of that. I'm still working on it. There's some things, but
Like wearing a beanie. Toxic.
that's not toxic.
All right, guys, I think we covered all in an excess. I think we're good.
Come on, Brian.
No, the moment's gone.
Okay, do it again. You wanna do it together?
Yeah.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Let's get you guys.